Right. So the first part of the inventory system that we are currently building, I think we stopped it here uh, by configuring the sphere radius. So now we need a way to actually spawn a weapon or spawn any sort of an inventory item whenever we collide with this specific collision box or collision sphere, right? Which means when this event trigger has been called. Okay, right. Now let's see how we can do that. So first I need to actually what I need the way to actually hold whatever the items that I've been picked as a global reference. So how can we do that? Yeah, I think what we can do is we can create a separate system for that as well, separate subsystem. So currently we have this locomotion, user interface, and weapon subsystems. And similarly, let's create another actor component, and I'll call it as PPC inventory system. So we can actually hold whatever the inventory items that we have been picked at here. So I'll open that instance, and this should be plugged for our root character, right? Because not only the player, later on actually the NPC characters will be able to pick elements or pick items from the level itself. So I'll add this inventory system to here. Just for testing, as usual, let's add a print statement, and here you can see the hello world is printing. Okay, now let's add a event called pick item. So I'll use this event to pick a specific inventory item. So I'll call it as item, and this should be on the type of act, right? And I will keep a list of inventory items that I've been currently picked inside this instance as well, just for the reference. And later on, actually, let's say when the character dies or an NPC character is being killed, we can drop the inventory items that specific character has been equipped on the ground or whatever, based on referring that specific array. Right. So let's add a new variable called inventory items, and this should be the type of actor. And since we can equip multiple inventory items, it should be the type of array. Right. So whenever now I picked an item, I can add it to the inventory like this. Right. And I'll create a separate function for that actually. Collapse to function. I'll call it as add to inventory. Right. So we have better organization actually. So just for testing, I will print it here, and let's see whether it's working or not. But first, actually, we should be able to trigger this inside our pickable item base Yeah, so in order to do that, what we can do is, instead of printing this here, yeah, let's promote this other actor to a variable called maybe overlapped actor. Sorry, overlapped. Overlapped actor. And there actually we can get this overlapped actor and we can look for its components and what we are interested in the inventory system. So if it is valid, then we can get the reference to it, and if it is valid, let's promote it to a variable called maybe inventory system ref. And if it is valid and we have a valid reference, and then we can actually spawn an actor based on this specific variable and add it to here. But first actually we need a way to spawn the actor, right? Right, so let's create a new function called spawn item. Okay, so let's spawn actor from class. As the class, I will make it a parameter. The transform, actually I can keep the default transformations that we currently have, so I will split the struct, so by default these values will be added. And as the collision handler, I just need to always ignore spawn the actor instance and ignore the collisions. Plus we need to actually mark the owner as well as the character who picked this weapon. So I will make it as a parameter like this. And once it successfully has been spawned, we can actually check whether it is valid or not. So if it is valid, then we can simply return a valid return value. If it is not valid, then we are simply returning a null reference like this. Right. So inside the on component begin overlap function event, let's spawn this item, right, based on whatever the configuration that we have as the inventory item. And I'll hide the unconnected pins because we don't need those stuff. And as the owner, we should be able to pass it as the overlapped actor, because he's the person who's going to pick this specific item. So the owner is that overlapped actor, right? And once this element has been equipped, we can call the inventory system's pick item function and then add it to here, right? So this spawned instance will be forwarded to the pick item function and it will be added to there, and that will add that specific item to the inventory items list. Right. So let's play test and see whether it is working or not. Okay, it's working. So here you can see actually it's equipping the items, but it's printing the integer instances again and again, because actually we haven't added any instances to our pickable item base as the default configuration. So you can see it's simply none. So just for testing, at our pickable item base instance, let's add, I don't know, maybe like pistol as the inventory item. Compile and save. And if you go back to the level, we can see these instance by default also inherit that specific value as well, right? Okay, so now if I go and try to pick it, still printing the index. The reason is actually I am printing the index here. That's the issue. So instead of that, I can simply print the item that has been currently picked. And let's play test it again. So here you can see I'm equipping these items. Okay? But here you can see actually the elements items are also spawning, and it's actually on the ground, right? It's on the 000 location, which is origin location, because we currently only equipping the item at here, and we are not actually attaching it to a specific socket, right? So by default it will be spawned at this location, right? And one other thing, like whenever we equip the pickup item, or actually when we are picking the item from the ground, that specific instance should be destroyed, right? Otherwise the player or other characters can keep equipping these elements. So in order to resolve that issue, it's a quite simple solution that we can do. So after picking the element, let's simply destroy the actor, right? So whatever the instance that we have been currently spawned at the level will be destroyed, right? So let's play test it again. Now you can see whenever I pick the element, it will be destroyed, right? So I can't actually keep picking the same item again and again. Okay, right. So that's how we can add the element to our inventory system. So maybe at the next part, let's cover how to actually attach whatever the items that we picked, maybe at our character or whatever the instance that we require at the runtime. I'll see you there. Thank you.